What Casey Neistat's LA Twitter rant tells us about America. The other day I emerged from a nap and began perusing Twitter in an attempt to try to wake myself up. This blurry haze of midday fatigue seems to be the only time I can consume news from the country of my birth these days. I am an American on self-imposed exile from back home. And by self-imposed, I mean a happy, joyous, and free escape from the insurmountable mound of rubble that is our current national discourse. So, I'm scrolling through Twitter when I see vlogging icon and YouTube megastar Casey Neistat trending. My interest is piqued. A filmmaker by training, Neistat first came to prominence in the mid-2010s, releasing daily vlogs of prodigious stature, both in quality and frequency. Subsequently, he has become a part of a constellation of C-list celebrities who have siloed themselves into a social bunker of the Los Angeles content elite, if we can call them that. Every time he pops up on my radar, in true LA content creator fashion, he has either ceremoniously put his foot in his mouth or he has released the next great innovation in internet video production. There is no in-between. Today, according to many, is the former. Apparently Casey had his car broken into by some local vagrants. He says, and I quote, "So our cars got robbed this morning because Los Angeles is a crime-riddled third-world shoehole of a city, but tremendous appreciation and gratitude to the hard-working officers at the LAPD who not only arrested the mother expletive but they got all of our stolen goods back." End quote. Now before we dive headfirst in the unsurprising dunghill of responses that follow, let me provide you with a definition with one of the greatest words known to mankind. Schadenfreude, noun. Enjoyment obtained from the troubles of others. I couldn't help but enjoy the absolute cluelessness with which this otherwise talented and shrewd man decided today was a day worth conversationally walking himself into an 18-wheeler. But I guess Casey was feeling like Commander Worf. Today is a good day to die. Back to the responses. What do you think the hot takes on this tweet would be? Take a second to yourself and think not only of your own opinion, but others would likely say. If you're at all familiar with the current state of the American conversation, the best point of disembarkation is always imputing either interminable privilege or negative nihilistic agency to every opinion you hear from anybody at any moment. Highest ranked response number 1. Comparing LA to a third world country. Alright. This one is interesting. It would seem our highly favored comment doesn't inherently have a problem with the phrasing third world country, we'll get to that in a second, but merely the fact Neistat would have the audacity to compare Los Angeles in particular to one. Perhaps if we were to compare Detroit to a third world country, or Philadelphia, commenter 1 would see no problem. Highest ranked response number 2. Reminds me that the entire concept of third world countries is flawed. This one could be going a number of ways. The commenter could be saying that despite the fact America is supposedly a first world country, the states have cities with third world conditions. Alternatively, our friend could be saying that third world countries as a concept is antiquated because the living conditions in first world countries such as ours can mirror those same places, so what's the real difference? Or, the most cliché liberal platitude might be at play here, the fact you even say third world countries means you are a privileged clueless dweeb who deserve to get robbed. Let's go for one more response. Another high-ranked comment was an image of one of Neistat's most iconic videos wherein he snowboarded on the back of an NYPD paddy wagon through the streets of New York during a blizzard. Now we're getting to the real pay dirt. By being thankful to the police for getting his stolen items back, Casey Neistat is a police-loving informant snitch who has been smuggled into YouTube in order to espouse the virtues of the coppers for all to see. Got it. Other than a double vortex of 40-plus-year-old LA celebrity jibber-jabber between Neistat and Seth Rogen, the rest of the responses started to meld into a mushy gobbledygook for me. I put the phone down and considered saying a prayer to the internet gods that I work remotely and got away from that HE double hockey sticks hole. I could spend the rest of my day in the peaceful anonymity of a language barrier, where most people here don't understand me and I don't understand them. I'm not culturally evaluated because I have a regional accent, and I'm not told what to think because of my supposed privilege. I don't have an opinion on this country's state versus that state, and if I think somewhere is a shoehole, I can think it and nobody will care. Now, because you're probably an American watching this, it is likely you still care what I think about the tweet, and that's the problem. I lived in Los Angeles for a decade. And I've been to quote-unquote third world countries. I do have an opinion. But why do you care what my opinion is? You don't even know me. I'm the anonymous American. You care because of your Americanness. Even if you think you're a more virtuous American because you defend people in developing nations, you care what I think precisely because you grew up in our country. You care because to be American is to be individualistic, to assert oneself in both opinion and in behavior, and to test oneself against others much like we do with other nations. We are a culture of competitors. Americanness is about expansion, even for the most progressive citizens. In America, we can't simply sit still and let someone do their thing. We need to show them why our thing is much better either by persuasion, force, or protest. We need our thing to be more virtuous. And we absolutely need, to the core of our being, for you to see why our thing is the way everything should be.